Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today we have a rock star OA and wholesale seller on the show, Raj FBA, fellow Southeastern PA native, as well as with Garrett and I, and everything. And today we'll be talking specifically on how to grow your business very fast during Q4. We're getting into the easiest time of the year, and Raj saw explosive growth last year, very similar to Garrett and myself in past years, really finding stride and momentum this time of year. We want as many guys as possible to be able to do that as well. So thanks for joining us, Raj.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you have a pretty similar story to myself in terms of having like a shoe reselling background. So you kind of explained, your reselling background and then ultimately how you got into Amazon. And we'll jam on some of the advanced stuff too.
So I think it was like 2018 when the blue tints came out. And I know Sawyer was talking about that too. That was like his first shoe. So I got those and the Beluga 2.0s. And that was like the first thing I ever resold. I sold it on StockX, made like $200 per pair. Like I didn't have, I had one credit card, had a $600 limit. And I just I kind of used like Soul Links and a few other like Twitters. I was never in like Discord groups or anything. For like 2 years, I was just, flipping a few like shoes. So nothing too crazy. And then COVID came, and that's when I had like 2-3 more credit cards, and that's when I really started getting into reselling. Pools, weights, what else was there? Webcams, all that stuff that was selling like crazy in 2020. Pools were definitely
after.
Yeah, pools are definitely the big one, but I really didn't have a lot of capital to start because I just had that credit card, and actually I had the PayPal credit card and had like a $3K limit, and that was like my highest credit card. So buying pools that are $400, you're not going to be able to buy a lot of them and flip it. So actually one of them, like my best ROI like investments, I paid for a weekly copy of a bot called EVAIO. It was $25, and the guy never took it back. I rented it for a week for $25, and I had it for like 6 months, and he was paying the monthly on it, which was like $40. So he was like losing money for 6 months straight, and I was just running up other people's credit cards and buying pools for them. Also, buying some pools for myself, and just like gaining that startup capital. That kind of took me from literally like $0 to like 50 or 60K. These pool, like the big Coleman 18-foot pools, you would buy for $400 from Walmart, free shipping before they added the $150 shipping, and they increased the prices. And I was selling them locally for like $1,300, like straight cash. And you just keep flipping there. And then I was selling ACO, which this bot was, I was getting, like 20, 30, like 50 sometimes overnight. It would check out 50 on people's cards, and I would charge $90, $99. So I was making a ton of, it was crazy. So yeah, pools definitely help. The weights were nice. The Bowflexes, those are going for a crazy amount too. You buy for like a few hundred, I think, like 600 retail, and just sell them for like 1,000. It's something crazy like that.
What I love is how everyone who resold during the COVID era talks about it the way like people who are really into high school football like talk about high school and stuff, like it's the good old days. But that really did birth like all of us, man, just with how easy like that whole situation was. Such an opportunity to really grind and get after, and it's beautiful what how many of us came out of it.
And like we started with literally no money, and like you think about it now, if we had the experience and the capital that we do now, and it was like 2020 again, I mean, like millionaires, easily millionaires. But yeah, so pools, what else? Like a lot of limited collectibles the last few years, shoes. And then about a little over a year, and like 2-3 months ago is when I like started Amazon. It was right after I actually graduated college. I got a finance and business information systems degree, and I had like offers. You're getting like 70-80K a year, and it's just like you realize that's going to be the grind for the rest of your life. You just don't want to do it. So I was like, fuck it, like I'll take a year, I'll see how this goes, and just if it fails, then I'll get a job or something. But yeah, Amazon was doing really well. I started, I think it was like my first month was like 2,000, and just like scaled over and over. It goes from 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, 40, and as you as you put in more, or you leverage those credit cards, you can really scale up.
So talk us through the transition, right? Because we're essentially talking about two completely different business models, right? The flipping model where you're buying pools and selling them locally, and then the more traditional model that a lot of us are practicing, the OA wholesale model, where it's buying and repeating those purchases, right? And so talk us through that initial transition, how you started to get accustomed to the processes that maybe you're exhibiting now, and walk us through that.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the limited stuff, you're buying one drop. It's like quick sellout times. You need bots and all this like extra like software to help you make those purchases. And then sometimes they flip for a crazy amount. Sometimes they like brick. You don't really have a great gauge until you know how much stock there is of that item. With Amazon, it's a lot easier, right? You have those keep it charts. You have that history. You basically know what you're gonna be selling the item for.
Yep.
And the risks too. You know how low it might go, how high it might go. So yeah, the Amazon just having that extra information that you don't have with those limited items, those one release items. You know what items to keep replenning on. It's just a lot less risk, and I'm definitely like attracted towards that because with that less risk comes more money you're able to spend on those products, right? Like if there's like a limited drop for, like a pair of shoes and you really don't know if it's going to be great or if they're going to have too much stock and the shoe's going to break, you might not want to buy like a ton of them. But when there's a good OA deal happening, like I'm buying as much as I can. I'm selling out that website so I don't have no other competitors. Like that's kind of like my main way of doing OA. I like the websites where I can really, try and there's a good sale, it's never been this low before. It's only this low once every few months, and you just buy out all the stock they have. Your flipping time might be a little longer, right? Because you might buy 2-3 months worth of stock instead of 1 month. But just knowing that you don't have as many competitors and there's a lot less risk with it being a good sale, I kind of gravitated towards that on the OA side of things. So I'm like, I do replen items, but I'll buy a lot of it. I'll sell it over like 2-3 months. And then, I'll replen on the next sale. I don't like going for the stuff that's like always in stock. So it is kind of like a half and half between like,
Yep.
Traditional, oh, you can just replen everything, and then like fully like, hey, this is a one drop limited release item. That's kind of what I've been doing on the OA side.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple things we can dig into with that, because I think what I completely agree with that makes Amazon a lot better is that, one, there's a barrier to entry with stuff. Anyone can go sell on StockX today, like pretty much, right? But not everyone can get verified. Then you got to do the ungated, and then you got to know how it works, right? There's a prerequisite decent amount of research and actually taking action you got to do to sell a product on Amazon, right? So naturally less competition, and theoretically just based on the easy stuff. And it's also the data is a lot more clear. As one, it's just a way bigger scale of opportunity because we got all different types of products we can sell too, right? So like my kind of thing is like legitimately 3 hours ago, I was on Discord with a couple of my guys and we were selling out a listing precisely as you were saying on a Thursday afternoon, like right after I got off a plane. And that just doesn't exist in the traditional, like, kind of drops, Yeezys type of reselling world. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So can you specifically talk about December? Because we really want to dial in on that fast growth you're able to have. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So right now is like the best time to kind of know what SKUs you're going to scale up for in December. Obviously you have the 1 year charts. You can see the BSR. If it's going and peaking, mid-December, early December, you kind of know that's like a good product to, if you're selling really fast now, to buy a crap ton of in the coming weeks. I'm looking for that. I have most of my buys. I already know what I'm going to be buying for December. I'm not really like adding a crazy amount of new SKUs, maybe like a few to just test. But most of the main ones, I know what I'm buying. It's just about like waiting for those good deals to come around and then, just getting as much as you can. That's like my main method for Q4. Last December, I got really lucky. I bought a product. I actually went for a discontinued product, and I bought, let me think. I definitely bought like thousands of units of this product. And okay, so it was an $80 product, and I was selling it for 300, like 250 to 300. So it was crazy margin. And it's just because like it's discontinued, the listing still it was doing really well, right? Because it's been doing amazing for 2 years before it discontinued. So it was doing really well, but you just couldn't find the product anywhere because they stopped selling it. They made like a new version of the product. So yeah, that I just ripped a ton of those. My main, actually, like one of my main bottlenecks for Q4 was prepping or just like getting those FBM orders out. Like I
That's
would be
what it
prepping
should.
for like 8 hours.
Yeah, because you don't like you shouldn't have to source stuff like you were saying with that one major ASIN. Like for everyone listening to this, if this is your first December, you're especially if you're FPM, which you should be, the vast majority of your money is going to be made it concentrated on core ASINs, like your 5 to 20 best ASINs. That's where you're going to dial in on and start to see depth because you're getting feedback so quick because you're buying something on Thursday, it's coming in on Monday, and you're shipping it out Tuesday and buying more, right? So there's no reason to be doing anything else, but you need to test now as much as possible so you can get the proof of concept, knowledge, suppliers necessary to make that happen when the time comes.
Yeah, actually, I checked a few weeks ago for like my best selling ASINs in December, and I think it was like 5 ASINs made up like 80K or something like that. So like, yeah, it was like a decent amount. So even like you were saying, like the 20% of your top ASINs make up 80% of your sales. It's definitely true. You go deep on the really good fast selling ASINs, and I mean, it just sells so fast that
Yeah.
it's a money printer.
It's simple. You know what I mean? It honestly is really simple. It's way more simple than most people think, but you got to go through so much prerequisite work prior to that to be able to take advantage of that simplicity.
Yeah, that's why right now is like just a really good time to test those ASINs, see what you think is going to sell really well in December, buy it now, kind of see, because also like Keep is not 100% accurate. You could be selling $5 above buy box right now. And then imagine in December, you might be selling 10, 20, like, okay, maybe not 20, but a really good amount above buy box at that time too, especially with Seller Snap. I have like ASINs that it never shows the price at like say $60, but I'm just selling at $60 like all day. And the buy box is like
people
45.
on the listing.
Yeah.
So you talk about how you have your core group of ASINs that you're planning on going deep on in December. If this is my December and you're talking to me, or this is my first Q4 and you're talking to me, where should I be looking? Am I looking sorts of seasonal products? Am I looking in my past catalog to see what increases in value and volume? Am I looking in the same sorts of brands you've had success with? What should be my strategy heading into my first Q4 to really try and maximize, assuming capital's not an issue, really trying to maximize with the next couple of months?
I would say a good place to start is definitely like, checking past ASINs. Like that's what I was doing like earlier, this month is just seeing what ASINs might be like. They might not be totally great right now, or, maybe they're 20% ROI right now, but looking from the past, they'd be like 40, 50% during December. I'm kind of like noting down what ASINs, I can't buy now, but I'll buy in a few weeks. I'd say keep a product finder is really good too. I like if you're looking at products that Amazon's going in and out of stock on, especially like toys, chances are those toys are going to be good toys in December. If Amazon can't stay in stock, that means Walmart, Target might also, might have trouble staying in stock, and it might be a good toy to flip in December. What else is there? I mean, yeah, I definitely think the seasonal stuff, giftable items are great, right? You already know shoes, clothing, what else? Like toys, obviously, just like stuff people gift each other. Obviously with shoes, you definitely have like a slightly higher return rate, especially in December. Like if someone's gifting another person a shoe, maybe they don't know their size, they're going to return it in January. So that's definitely something to look out for. That's why I FBM a lot of like the shoes that I do sell. I try and FBM them if I can get buy box FBM, because sometimes you get them through like dirty. You definitely can't sell them. At least you can take a 50% restocking fee or something like that. I actually don't take like any fees if it's, if they return it brand new. I'm not taking like a fee for shipping and stuff like that. Mostly because you sell it again and you'll make the profit. It's whatever. But but yeah, the 50% restock fees definitely help when you get back unsellable returns. At least you make up for your buy cost most of the time. Yeah, I mean, like clothing, I'm definitely going pretty deep on clothing. I haven't been doing clothing a lot this year, but it's like Q4, it just sells so high. It's actually funny because I think
Yeah, you can see it in the smile right there.
yeah, I'd say like yeah, clothing, toys, shoes, anything that you can see the BSR just like go up drastically in Q4 is probably a good one that's going to also raise in price.
So having said that, it's I would assume important to keep organized or keep your products organized of things you bought previously to kind of refer back. Do you have any sort of tactics or efficiencies inside how you manage your inventory on an ongoing basis so you can refer back and see what you bought previously to repurchase?
I do. I have a buy sheet, which everybody like obviously should have. You just have to like keep track of all your transactions. What I do is I also just use SellerAmp, the like export feature. I feel like that's like one of the most useful features that some people still don't know about.
Yeah, seriously. You guys got to get that set up. Like, go do it right now. SellerAmp.com, Google Sheets, top right, Q4, almost good, purchased, replens, any favorite websites you have, out of stock. Like, you can get
seasonal stuff every holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll like maybe I'll like storefront stock or I'll be going through a website and you see the sale already ended and it's sold out, but I'll just like keep note, copy and paste those links onto the lead sheet and just make sure I have that for future reference.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so obviously last year was predominantly OA. I know this year you've gone with the warehouse, gotten some wholesale involved. Talk about how the business has evolved a little bit.
So yeah, last year was like strictly OA. There's like a few phases when you're doing Amazon, right? There's like the first phase of like acknowledging that, it's a profitable business model. The second phase is growth, right? You want to grow as much as you can. And then the next phase is scaling and having those systems like
and optimizing.
Yeah. So like that, like last December was insane. I was doing like I was dead after that. I needed a good break. Just like you're packing so long, you're taking like you have huge ass like UPS pickups that you're just helping him shove all the packages in. It's definitely a lot. You're working like 16-hour days, like when it gets in the heat of things. So at the beginning of this year, I was really looking at creating systems where I don't have to do a crazy amount of work anymore. It wasn't necessarily about growth to start. So yeah, like getting the warehouse was the main thing on my list. Getting an employee, VA. I didn't have a VA up until earlier this year. What else is there? Better software. Just being able to outsource all of those extra tasks so I can focus my time on, whatever I want to do, or maybe a different business as well. And that's definitely come in handy. I'm able to like, I went on a few different trips this year, and although my sales did drop a little bit during those 2-week time spans, I was still like making money while like, going on a trip to Japan with my friends, or, going to like, I went to ASD or just like a whole bunch of other trips. So that was the main thing is, once you have the warehouse, and also like there's a lot of skills that you learn when owning a warehouse that I know everybody, the prep center route's definitely like the move. But when you have your own warehouse, like you learn so many things that you wouldn't learn just using a prep center and outsourcing it that way, right? So I'm like learning about how like the taxes work for like I need to create like a withholding tax, unemployment tax account with like the state. Like I had no idea. Honestly, I didn't
Miles
do it for like 2 months.
cringing as you're talking. He's just like cringing.
Yeah. That's what we have Dan for, luckily, at the old warehouse.
That you like it's definitely stuff you don't want to be doing, but it's also skills you kind of need to learn because especially for me, like I wanna like buy businesses like in the surrounding area at some point. Like I don't want to be doing Amazon the entire time. It's more of like a funnel to put my money into assets, right? Like I'm not gonna, because also keeping all your money into Amazon and one wrong thing happens, like obviously you're not hoping for that to happen, but you got to take the calculated risks on pulling your money out and putting into more scalable models or just like something, other assets.
Yeah, bro, definitely. And especially, for the young people listening to this, which is, the majority of you guys, right? It's tough when you're new with this stuff, thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go do retail arbitrage for 10 years. Absolutely not. Like you majorly screwed up if you're, doing even online arbitrage, right? For 10 years. Use everything as like a stepping stone. Like got started with shoes. I got started with shoes, right? Then I did textbooks on Amazon, now OA, now software, all this other stuff we got going on. Like you evolve as you should, right? Because your skill sets start to serve better opportunities and such. And speaking of that, just kind of that evolution, like how do you see the Amazon business evolving in the next couple months and just kind of beyond? Do you think it's gonna be more wholesale? Is OA easy enough? You'll never say no to some of it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think for Q4, OA is just too easy, and it's kind of fun just going back into it after
With the
like
boys,
placing.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
nothing better, nothing better.
yeah, just like being in VCs and going through some sales. Yeah, I think always like around to stay. I mean, brands are going to be like stricter maybe on some stuff. They might, as like Amazon does grow, people, these brands will take notice and want to capitalize for that for themselves. And that also is like kind of a thing with wholesale. Like you know, your business model might suffer a little bit in that case if you have really good ASINs and then the brand hops on and they're like, hey, we got to like take you guys off. So I mean, I think it'll definitely always around to stay. There's always going to be brands that don't like monitor, Amazon. I think wholesale is also like around to stay, especially if you're able to get those brand direct accounts and be that like, um, that person who they can look to help them with like their listings and advertising stuff like that. I've been definitely like researching into private label. I had a goal to do like 50K a month through private label. I put it on the back burner. The wholesale took a little bit longer to like get going. I was able to place like some decently sized orders, like an 80K order, 30K, 20K. I have decent orders from decent distributors, but I want to focus more on private label and after Q4. I think it's definitely like a more scalable business model, just in the sense that you launch one product. I mean, I have launched products in the past and they've been profitable, but actually my last product, it was profitable. And then the supplier just like, I don't know what happened. They were just not on Alibaba anymore, and they
Crazy
just like
stuff
diffed.
happens in
Like,
China, man. Yeah,
so I just couldn't.
crazy
I
stuff
couldn't
happens.
replenish the ACID. So I mean, I was making like a decent like $7 to $10 per unit, and like I don't know what happened. So I just like I never restocked that ASIN, but it was also on my main account. You want to create a separate account for private label, especially if you're really trying to create a brand that you might sell in the future. So yeah, I'm kind of focusing on that. Um, Amazon's definitely like still taking up a decent amount of my time, at least like half of it. But I do want to kind of expand outside of that and do different things as well.
Miles, I'll never forget Thousand Asins just slapping his brand on the table.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah. How he just, yeah, that was awesome, dude. And he owned it when we talked to him, too. That was absolutely,
It was so
hilarious.
funny. Kind of leaving the viewers with some tactical stuff here. Talk us through your transition from OA to wholesale. You said you were, I mean, rather successful, right? Placing some good size orders. How did they come apart? What sorts of brands were you pinpointing? What sorts of tactics did you use to reach out to those brands, find them, source them, and kind of walk us through that entire transition?
Yeah, so it was I kind of like started outreaching. What was it like February, March? Um, I never stopped away. Obviously, like
Yeah, of
you want to
course.
keep that like money coming in while
It's just so much good
you're
momentum. You
growing
don't want to
wholesale.
lose the
And it's
momentum.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I started outreaching. Obviously you start with like Google, just like looking them up, see what's in your area. Um, I think it was in February. ASD was great. The thing about ASD is there's obviously a lot of Amazon sellers who go, but sometimes the opportunities aren't from only the like distributors with like stands there. Like you might just meet someone who owns a store and they you might be able to buy from that. Like there's so many other like opportunities. Like you just want to get out there and network and
Yep.
talk to people. So I've got some good leads there. And also just like talking to people like in the community, like going half and half with someone for a big order that you couldn't get alone and they couldn't get alone, but working together, you can kind of get some of these bigger orders placed. Yeah, I think having a warehouse definitely helps with the wholesale side of things. Just like having that industrial, like that commercial address, they automatically they, and especially the complex that my warehouse is in right now, like it just looks huge, like it looks great. So if they're looking on Google or something, like it looks legitimate. It's not like some like super small, like they don't look it up and see
Massive.
a house.
And it's so cheap too. Like, so Ross and I live right near each other, basically in Pennsylvania, or where my parents live in Pennsylvania. And it's like completely out in the sticks. Like that's actually like a decent amount of America's like that. So like warehouses are not as expensive as people think they are completely.
Yeah, I think including like utilities, and Comcast is destroying me there. They're making me pay $200 a month for Wi-Fi, but like total it's like 2,000 like a month.
It's not
like,
bad.
It's
for how
nothing.
big that place is, it's not bad at all.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like 2,000, and then employees are like another 2,000, and you're paying for software and all these other monthly expenses. So it kind of gets up there, but once you have like a decent rhythm going, it's it's not a huge deal. But yeah, the warehouse definitely helped. What else did I do? I mean, like calling is great. Like, and also
As simple as that. Yeah.
yeah, like obviously it sucks to do. Like not everybody, you don't want to pick up the phone 10 times. Like you're getting like no answers.
You gotta do what other people won't do.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, man. Like it's the same thing with like existing on Twitter and stuff. Like everyone who gets all the results does what other people don't want to do. Like the whole thing. And then just kind of finishing up here, just getting super tactical, right? Scaling FBM, because you did a shitload of FBM orders last year. I did a shitload of FBM orders last year. Garrett did a shitload of FBM orders 2 years ago. Right, as did we all. But we want to get super tactical. How do we actually scale FBM? I'll run through a couple of my things, right? Just that I want everyone to know, and then we can jam on as well. But definitely like getting your shipping templates set up correctly, charging a lot for next day and expedited, using a repricer, repricing up if the value is going up, being in 0-day handling time to get your momentum building, then going 2-day handling time, using free 4x6 labels from the UPS website, using free USPS pickups, using discounted UPS pickups from Pirate Ship. Pre-packaging FBM orders is great too. What's some other stuff in terms of the FBM side things that's important?
FBM. I think also just I just have like a ton of different size boxes and poly bags, and I feel like people don't want to like spend the money on the boxes. Like people are getting those like free USPS boxes and like shipping it UPS and stuff like just get the right just get a bunch of size poly bags and boxes, because also like you think about it, the dimensions are smaller, the shipping will be cheaper, and I definitely jack up the expedited, especially as it gets closer to the 25th. I'm putting like $30 expedited, like
even charges 60. Yeah, someone bought like a $30 item and paid like $60 for expedited shipping too. But at the end of the day, like if you're buying the right stuff, they sell, right? If you're like you bring up Keeper Product Finder, that's such a good method. You can look up on Keeper Product Finder what's going up in demand, right? It's the first line, the sales rank. Scroll over to the right, do 50% plus, and just so you can see what the rank's getting completely cut in half. You can filter to what's increasing in price. Like that stuff's great, using the SellerAmp spreadsheets to be prepared for the best products. You can go in on Keep a Product Finder and put in 0 to 20,000 sales rank, Nike, Adidas, Converse, right? And see all of the listings and then go look what went up in price last year. Let me spreadsheet those. Everything is profitable during Black Friday or very close to it. So it's, super doable right there. And then where can people find you on social media?
Raj FBA on Twitter and Instagram. I don't post on Instagram much. I'll probably get back to that shortly, but it was mostly like of me growing my wholesale and just like slowly updating on there. I don't like Instagram. I don't really use it much, but yeah, maybe I'll start posting on there more.
Well, yeah, hit the man up on Twitter and such and everything. And then thanks for coming on, man, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.